Welcome back to another TS Terra Plays Terra video. Now, today's video is starting off a little different. I do this occasionally. The biggest thing is that I want to just apologize on saying belated happy holidays. If you watched my videos during the week of the holidays or, on New Year's Eve last weekend, I didn't say Happy New Year's or anything because I honestly lost track of time and those videos were pre-recorded so I could spend time with my family. So I hope as viewers that you had an amazing holiday season. Whatever you celebrate, I hope you're having a fantastic new year. I hope you're able to spend time with loved ones, and if you were watching my videos during that time, I want to thank you so much. I appreciate it, and I hope you are all doing fantastic in the start of 2023. Now, let's get into some quick little stuff. Yeah, there's a little button like right here. If you're not subscribed, please hit it. Help me reach my goals. I'm trying to hit 500 as soon as I can right now. And if I do hit 500, I will do a war tank guide for Tera Console. As a kind of little halfway meet, if I can hit 250 subscribers, I'll do a war DPS guide. I realize 500's a large goal, but I think we can do it. And if you've been coming to these videos quite often and you find yourself back here and you're not subscribed, please, hit the button, subscribe. And if you're new to the channel and you like the content, well, also, I'd appreciate it if you help me out and subscribe. So, with that in, let's get into the video. So, in today's video, I want to go over changes that I want to see happen to Tera Console in this year. These are not changes that I know will happen, but if you guys like what I have to say, please back me up. I'm going to post this in the Discord. I'm going to try and ping Tera Console, get an interview, but I want to express changes that I would like to see, and I think as a community as a whole, we would like to see. So the first thing, as you saw in the text, was the Terra store. The biggest issue I have with the Terra store is that Bluehole, you just don't update it enough. Like, please update the reset scrolls. Friends and I were talking, and it's gotta be confusing for new players, and as a veteran player, not having a CSHM reset scroll by now is just pathetic. So please update the store with proper reset scrolls. If Bahar's not in the game, don't have those scrolls in the store. Or if you want to keep them because you're going to release this dungeon again, go ahead, but please update it. Give us a way to reset Grotto properly, give us a way to reset CSHM, CS normal mode, Acolyte's quarantine, like even AAHM reset scrolls. We don't have any of these dungeons. And I guarantee you, most of your community, I know me personally, and plenty of other friends I have, would drop money, instantly drop money on this game a lot quicker if we could reset CSHM alone. Now, I get if it's a brand new dungeon and it's a leaderboard dungeon, fine. But let's be real, you haven't changed it in almost over a year. So really consider thinking about updating this. And when you release a new dungeon, hopefully it's a harder dungeon. We'll get into my dungeon revamp later. But when you release new content, update the store. Now, another thing I would like to see changed in the store is kind of loot boxes. Most people are 50-50 on how they work. Honestly, you know what? The way the mount ones work, I respect it. It is what it is. But can we at least update the shitty rewards? And what I mean by that is, me paying money for a Kami loot box and getting 500 talents is disgusting. Honestly, it's pitiful. If you made it 500 plates, that would be amazing though. Make it drop 10 diamonds, maybe 50 emeralds, and these all have a decent chance. That would, I guarantee you, make players want to spend more money on all types of loot box. It just updates stuff. Getting health pots, getting talents is gross. You can simply make it plates, you can make it derricks, you can make it loot that is more relevant to today's time. And I think you would see if you change that, your numbers of loot box sales will also go up quite significantly. And the last tiny change that I can suggest for the store, where you may be able to make a lot more money, is allow players to buy these mounts directly for a high price. Specifically, I'm talking about 2.5 mounts. Maybe let us buy them for like $300 to $500. Not a major change. I understand if you don't want to, but I think you'd make a lot more money with this. Now, let's get into the dungeon rework. Alright, this is a rough subject, but here's the deal. Currently, you are pushing all new players to Stormcry, and you're basically making it mid-tier to beginning level dungeons are 457s. At the same time, players can get up to 473 and 476, not easily, but within quite a bit of time. Within that, the hardest dungeon in the game is a 463. Come on, give us something more. Like, at this point, you guys need to overhaul the whole dungeon system. Within that, honestly, what I would suggest is get rid of anything that's below 448 if you haven't. It just needs to go, or revamp it up to 448. With that, I'd also suggest keep only 2 448s and maybe 1 453, and then have a bunch of 457s. Right now, the amount of 457s is honestly pretty good. I like the amount we have to do. But what I don't like is that we have 1 460 and 1 463 to grind for Kaya's materials, and for any materials for that fact. And with that, honestly, you guys need to really revamp this system, because with CS hard mode being the hardest dungeon in the game and people being 10 plus item levels over it, and it's been that way now for quite a while, this needs to be reworked, and reworked fast in my opinion. Give us a 470 dungeon. Give us maybe a 466 dungeon. Make those 2 dungeons leaderboards. Honestly, if you want to take Cursed AA and make it a 470 or a 466, bring Bahar back. Honestly, bring Bahar back. Seriously, bring it back. Give us the 4 or level 70 version from PC unnerfed. Make it kick everyone's ass. And bring it as a 470 and make it the hardest dungeon in the game. Oh my god, your community will love you. No lies. Everyone will be so happy. And then you need more 463 and 460 dungeons for players to grind. There's not enough endgame content for us to grind Kaya's materials. Now, if your idea is to just have people pay to get this gear, then I guess don't change anything, but I'm pretty sure you can see there's been a significant decline in your player base. And it's just because there's nothing to do. And people are tired of CSHM. Now, I don't want to see it go, because I truly think you guys need to just give more 463 dungeons, more 460 dungeons, and honestly just make the 457s the baseline. With that, I highly suggest reworking the loot in these dungeons. And what I mean by that is make the 457s drop a ton of ecto, give endgame players a reason to continue grinding 457s and helping new players. That way we have a reason to do all dungeons. As well as, please change the stigma shard grind. You know, honestly, clearing grotto and walking out with 5 whites is kind of pathetic as well. You know, if I walked out with 5 greens, I would be more satisfied to play more and run more grotto. but just getting 5 whites and getting nothing basically from CSHM or Stigma Shard boxes, which is still pretty ass. Increase it. Start making endgame dungeons drop blues even. You will see even more of a grind in these dungeons if you increase Stigma Shard loot drops, you know, and just adding more content to run. This takes me into Herald. You guys could also remove that if there's an issue with, oh, there's not enough space in the game. No one needs Herald. All of its drops are useless, worthless, and been replaced throughout so many other dungeons that you can just kind of remove this raid. And honestly, what I would suggest is bring in Dreadspire, add additional 10 floors to it, make that a 10-man raid, and make a checkpoint after every 5 floors that have been cleared. Make it drop a ton of Ecto, a ton of Chaos materials, make it give a ton of diamonds, and honestly, that would be so amazing. I think you would see the population would spark and grow so quickly with just these slight dungeon changes. And the last major change I'd like to see to dungeons is kind of boss HP / endurance and the amount of damage bosses do. Because while running Grotto and running CSHM and quite a few of the 457s, bosses die within 1 enrage. And yeah, you can argue, oh, well, you're like anywhere from 10 close to 20 item levels above, but still within that, I feel like that's not right, and that should be balanced a lot more. I think Acolyte's Quarantine has a good HP and endurance actually for an endgame dungeon, but the bosses still kind of hit like a piece of paper. So increasing their damage and making mechs one-shot again, I think would make the game more fun, and it should challenge new players. Now, if 457s don't want to do that because that is almost getting to bottom tier, I understand, but while you're making more 460 and 463s, I would hope that's not the case, and especially if we start seeing harder leaderboard dungeons, I really hope that's not the case, that things are just paper weak and die instantly. Alright, so now I want to take a bit of time and talk about new jewelry. We've had Abyssal Jewelry for a long time, and as you can see, the dungeon that I'm currently running was accidentally released, and I'm hoping Cursed AHM is the next dungeon coming out, and I do hope this dungeon comes with new jewelry. I hope you guys are thinking about that. I don't care what you do for it, but honestly, I think it's time. We've gotten Fraxum / HO to Kaya's gear. Personally, I would like to see a way to honor that gear. I'd like to see a way to convert it and make it even better. Give us something while converting or upgrading our jewelry also to our weapon and armor. If you guys do that, I hope you add more ways to get etchings and just make that balance. But I think it is time for harder content along with new jewelry. Now, the other thing you can see that I wanted in this section is to talk about a stigma locking system. What I mean by that is allow us to lock a roll or lock 2 rolls while we re-roll our stigmas. I think this can also profit you guys as a company, actually quite a lot. And what I mean by that is if you allow us to farm a way to lock, let's say, a 2% cooldown roll. Let's say I have a soul stigma with a 2% roll. Let me lock that roll for 1 reroll. And what I mean by this is, like, let's say you add in a locking system. and I can lock 2 of my 2% cooldown rolls, and I can keep re-rolling, but every time I need 2 of these lock stones, and I need another stat change stone. And within that, you'll see that more people probably will want to buy stat change stones. People will want to buy locking stones. Please make it a way to grind them. But you can see that, like, that will push people to want to min-max their stigmas, and it doesn't feel like you're penalized for trying to get a double or triple roll and losing the 2% roll or losing a 1.8% roll. I think this can really be amplified, and as you add harder content dungeons, these items could be an awesome addition to drive players to want to run CS hard mode, to want to run cursed AA, and not just sit in the 457s all day. So yeah, adding some type of lock-in system to the stigmas would be amazing. And the last thing I want to talk about is a new item. It is an XP voucher. Now, this is a concept I've tossed around with some friends, and I think this could be such a cool idea of an item. And basically, Bluehole, you want to move away from people grinding item XP from dungeons, and I'm cool with that. But one thing I've noticed is it's very hard to keep players interested in lower tier content. And it's very hard to get players to want to enchant their gear when there's little to no forward progression, and it takes over a day's worth of farming on your main to have 1 or 2 chances to enchant your gear. So, if you add in an XP voucher, that when a group clears a dungeon, it's a guaranteed drop, it's a share drop, and let's say it's soulbound to the character that picks it up. What I'm referring to is this is an item you would pick up, and you can apply it to any piece of gear, and it gives that gear an additional amount of XP on that enchant. Don't make the gear go backwards if it fails, but keep it going forwards with the addition of this item XP voucher. And basically, what I would suggest is 457s could drop a voucher coupon that gives 0.5 extra XP. You can use multiple of them on all different gear or on the same gear. And 460s can drop maybe a 1% voucher. 463s can drop a 2%. And as the dungeons get harder, you can choose to increase or just keep it at 2%. I've done the math. You would need, if you're one piece of gear, mind you, one piece of gear for one enchant, you would need 45 2% vouchers to go from 10% all the way to 100. Mind you, if CSHM is the only way to get your 2%, you clear it 3 times a day, you get 6%. I think the rough math was it would take you over 1 whole week to get 45 of them, which means it would take you over 1 whole week to be able to get 100% for 1 enchant. You have 4 to 5 pieces of gear, you got 7 stigmas. Like, this would just be such an awesome, tiny quality of life item you can add. Again, that would make players want to run so much content on all their characters. And you know what? Make it soulbound to that character. That character has to use it, and that will give people reason to play their alts in other dungeons. So, honestly, that would just be an amazing change. And that's really the last thing I have. Final notes to quick go over for everyone is just, you know, overall quality of life changes. Update the store. Please give us correct scrolls to reset dungeons. You know, give us better dungeons. Give us more content. Remove content that's just not needed. Like I said, Herald is dead. Just remove it if it's causing too much inventory space of the server or the game, whatever. You know, update the dungeons. Make more harder dungeons. Please give us new jewelry. Stigma locking stones would be amazing. And overall, small quality of life changes like that would be great. You guys are doing fantastic with the class changes for the most part. Please look at Ninja. Besides that, you're doing pretty decent. Overall, that's all I have to say. I hope this makes it to Blue Hole. If y'all can help push this to make this video track really hard, hopefully we can see some amazing changes to Terra in 2023. That's about it. Hope to see y'all in Aboria, gamers.